kiss you with my cheese. All I wanna do is be the coolest cat here, but I'll need some more super burrito. But I need some more super burrito. But I need some more super burrito.
Hello, MouseHunt. Welcome to Feedback Friday. Today is someday in December. It is December 11, 2020. My name's Dave. How's everybody in the chat doing today? Have, I think, over 100 people here maybe, or 80, one or the other. Looks like 108. Well, today, thought we'd get initial impressions, feedback, suggestions, questions on the Great Winter Hunt. Gonna go over all things Great Winter Hunt related, as well as maybe a quick little feedback question or two on Feedback Friday itself. Every once in a while we go into the meta of feedback on Feedback Friday. Hello, Dave. Hello back to everybody in the chat. I'm greeted by a wave of hellos. Hello. Tim, Ryan, Darren. In 59. Darren again, Aaron, Tim, Zach, Salim, Eric, Edwin, Zach. To Zach. Julia, Yonel, Jeremy, hello. Hello from Malaysia, hello from Philippines, Southeast Asia is here, hello. Good morning. So it is morning here. What time would it be in Philippines or Malaysia? It'd be about 12-hour difference, would be maybe around 11 p.m. Ryan asks, so the very first question is the tourney lag. Game goes down when tourneys start and end. Yeah, we're going to kind of check out that a little bit. We're aware of it, but I think just the immense popularity of the tournaments may be causing a hiccup or two, so it's something we'll look into. Margaret says, hello from Texas. Well, hello. Hi, Dave. How have your golems been treating you? So far, all right, thanks. Yeah. I opted to maybe forego the living garden. That's usually, I always have one golem going there. I think I'm going for the floating islands for at least a little while. I might send a few back to Valor Rift as well, restock on some charms. 12:01 a.m. must be a daylight savings time shift, or maybe I'm off by one time zone there. Midnight in Singapore. Good morning and happy Great Winter Hunt. Well, a happy holiday hunting back to you as well. Will Ronza be coming any hits? Well, if you check your profile, something new this year to make sure kind of everybody had something under their profile tree. There's a gift, 3 gifts that you start with. One from Larry, one from the King, and one from Ronza. So maybe a little something. Hello from the other end of Canada. Well, hello to you as well on the Pacific side. Trevor says, make them every 15 minutes or half hour, so teams in the same time zone with lots of members can play at their own time, cap at 500 or 1,000 per tourney. I don't know if we have... I think we could check out the cap. Off the top of my head, I don't know if we have the ability to cap the number of teams in a tournament. 5 p.m. in Denmark. We got time zones checking in here. Got a wide range of good morning, good afternoon, or good evening. Ice Killer says, Dave, make 2 additional tourneys at the same time. Let me see if Michelle is popping around here. That's good feedback for her. She schedules all the tournaments. Yeah, there she is now. I like the comments on your screen. We can see what you see. Yeah, for the most part, it's pretty instantaneous. Not the whole lot of latency between the chat and the video, but sometimes it varies. Beth says, I know it's not Great Winter Hunt specific, but is there any progress on the fix for mobile app regarding truncated item descriptions? Yes, so that's all good to go. We did our final testing on that this week. We did what you call reintegrate or merge back into the main branch. So that's all kind of getting good to go. And we're hoping next week there'll be a mobile app update that will restore descriptions. That said, you will have to update the app. So it won't work on old versions. It does have to make a change within the mobile app itself. So we're going to be preparing that, and next week you should be able to see the full item descriptions in the app yet again. Or once again, that is. Skylar says, hey Dave, is there any way to treat event tournaments differently when multiple groups from the same team join? That is in the idea bank, but right now, no, there is no way to do that. But it's kind of on our radar for when and if we ever have time to overhaul tournaments, is to explore the idea of kind of putting your team into different squads or allow the same team to join the same tournament within multiple groups. And then so, you don't have to go through some awkwardness of deciding who's going to be in which tournament, that sort of thing, if you have a big team. Young asks, what is the chance of Calarib coming out of a hatted Queso Geyser Golem? Very low. It's about, kind of base those off the number of hunts it would take to loot an item on average, and then kind of go with the golems taking 25 hunts to return. And then for a lot of areas, we look for it to be kind of each golem is the same amount of time as though if you spent in that area. So if you get 2 going, it's kind of like double loot. If you get 3 going, it's kind of like triple loot. But the exact chance is small. This is a big spreadsheet, but I'm trying to find the spot in it. Golem drop tables, and this is a big table. Queso Geyser. There's a lot of zeros in front of that decimal. I need a calculator. If I'm doing math correctly here, no. No, I'm definitely not doing math correctly. Yeah, it's north of 1 in 200 and 1 in 2,500, higher than that, so not very common at all. Would you consider buffing Floating Islands golems? I think they're pretty good, but open to suggestion and feedback. The Scoundrel Slayer trap, does this mean there will be a pirate mouse map coming soon? No specific plans for that, but it's useful in a few different areas. Probably, I think the primary use for that, either you're a low-level player, like in the harbor or something, but I mean, that's just a great trap to begin with if you're in the early parts of the game. Otherwise, toward the end there, in the Floating Islands, it's great against the Sky Pirate mice, so it works against quite a few mice. Let me see here. Let me see if I can find that. I like to read and not do it by memory, because I will say something entirely wrong going by memory. Oh, I might not be able to find that quick enough. Oh, there we go. Pirate Slay Trap. The Slayer. Works against the Buccaneer, the Pirate Anchor, the Dread Pirate, the Deranged Deckhand. Then when the Halloween event comes around, it will work against the Scorned Pirate. This mouse, I gotta see what the name of it is, the Ghost Pirate Queen Mouse, as well as that is, yes, Captain Cannonball and Admiral Arg. Yes, Admiral Arg. And additionally, it works against the entire Dock Dwellers group, as well as the entire Sky Pirates subgroup of the Floating Islands mice. My CPU fan is off to an early start today, giving it a good workout. Even my keyboard feels a little bit warm here. Using 30% of my CPU. Danny says, losing track of the chat here. Danny says, my wife got into the game for a short time but was logged out of her mobile app, never created username and passwords. Any possibility of getting that back? Unfortunately, probably not. You could try if she knew very specific details of her account, like maybe the day that she signed up, kind of a rough idea of where she was in the game and what items she had. You could try reaching out to support and could see if we could help out. But yeah, that has also been on the list. You do reach a point, I forget where it is. I think it's maybe at the mountain, if not before. And I think every few times you go on a hunt, I think it's the mole mouse, the Rift mole mouse, if I recall correctly. The game starts bugging you pretty well every time you sound the horn. Please make a username and password. If you become logged out, you will not be able to resume your game. But we've been meaning to make that a little more assertive, or downright make it to the point where the game just stops at some point and says, you just make a username and password, because you've been playing for a few weeks and it's starting to get in that uncomfortable area if you were to not be able to log in. Bintang asks, when does the Great Winter Hunt end? Excellent question. Actually, I meant to put up a ticker. For sure, we'll mention it in the New Year's phase news post, but that's quite some way out, so I wanted to do a ticker. Let me open up a calendar, because if you joined me on Feedback Friday before, I am no stranger to saying the wrong day of the week with the wrong date. Like, it's Friday, December 11, but I will say it is Friday, December 10, or do weird things like that unless I'm looking at... Actually, when I'm looking at a calendar, I tend to go wrong. I blame this kind of weird calendar on my computer. So the Great Winter Hunt... What is going on here? Look at that. I didn't even add a calendar entry. Oh, there it is. All right. So it will come to an end on January 6th at about 11 a.m. Same time Feedback Friday goes live. And then there will be not quite a 1 week period for final cash out. So at that point, you can send out your final golems. You can still spend all your cookies. However, no new progression items drop. So you can't get more golem parts. You might still be able to get them from the Snowball Showdown, but the mice will stop dropping them. And the cookies as well will stop dropping. So it's kind of, you can assess what you have on hand. If you have a lot of golem parts, you can still smash them into animated snow, buy a bell from the general store, and kind of bring your golems back real quick if you feel as though the 6 days isn't long enough to cycle all your golems with 25 hunts. And then on January 12, all things Great Winter Hunt will be removed. So that'll be kind of a little bit of a cash out period, which is quite common to a lot of events. Darren says, any plans for a COVID-related event? Well, no, if anything, I mean, maybe kind of heightened awareness in that, but it doesn't quite feel like, I don't know, it's a serious topic to kind of gamify, doesn't quite feel right. And in some ways, as well, with kind of all the stress that everyone's going through, in some ways it's nice to play a game and kind of forget about that, at least for a little bit, as a kind of escape. Toby says, the Scoundrel Slayer Trap, any hints on its percent instant catch chance? Well, it's pretty good. It's pretty up there. And that's a pretty relative term as well. It's less than 50%, more than 20%. We'll give you a ballpark. It's enough that for most setups, the Slayer Trap will be pretty good against those Sky Pirate mice. Now, if you have the Signature Series Denture base going and you're burning Toothlets and you have Ultimate Rift Lucky Power Charms going and, you have like the top tier Tactical Trap and everything, that might be a little bit better, but that's a little harder to sustain than a trap that has basically a chance to be an instant catch. So there's a chance it pretends you have an Ultimate Charm Armed and you don't miss the mouse if it's a pirate-themed mouse. Final Heart says, you said the Pirate Slayer Trap might be best against Floating Eye Pirates. What trap setup were you comparing to? I was comparing to a variety of them. Let me see here. Rewards. That's the Slack in a Box. This one here. So obviously we covered a wide spectrum because it doesn't have a very high title requirement on it. So compared it to even things like the Net Cannon, Chrome Phantasmic Oasis Trap, the School of Sharks, the Queso Font Trap. And so even looking at, say, the Maritime Pirate Mouse, which this is also when we noticed it was missing its intended 300% effectiveness rating. So that was corrected. You may have noticed as a patch note item, that mouse is a little easier to catch now. If you're using, say, the Prestige base, and you're using the Smoldering Stone Sentinel Trap, then the Merry Raider Slay Trap should still outperform that without a charm. But if you're kind of going all out, if you're using really hard to maintain or kind of sustain resources like the Signature Series Denture Base and an Ultimate Lucky Power Charm, with even the School of Sharks, no, the School of Sharks still isn't as good, but the Smoldering Stone Sentinel Trap, I think, yeah, that'll still edge that out. Actually, that's pretty close. I think they come close to tying. There are kind of pirate mice in Sunken City. I think in the fish, yes, it does. It's not the most useful there, but if you're going through the Sunken City with that trap already, or you don't have the School of Sharks, then hey, it's a nice little bonus when you encounter one of those mice and it goes off. But the Sunken City is a little hit and miss whether you're going to encounter a pirate-themed mouse, so a little less reliable. There seems to be a mismatch between drop rates for various snow golem parts. I've got so many torsos and limbs, but very few heads. Yeah, absolutely. You can smash them into animated snow, and then you can exchange them into the part that you need. But yeah, for everyone who says I'm low on heads, there'll be someone who says I'm low on torsos, technically, it kind of comes down to the setup you have going there, but they're all kind of, over the long run, they do average out. So every time you find 4 limbs, you should find a torso and a head. But of course, that it's not going to work out that way over the course of an hour or the course of a day. So, yeah, by all means, when you're overloaded on one and you have idle golems, I would definitely smash a little bit of your excess part into animated snow. You can do it right from the HUD. The button looks like a recycle symbol, and you can exchange them for the parts that you're looking for. I think that the Adorn base and Ultimate Power Charm is enough with School of Sharks for the pirates. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, they're kind of hard to get to. That cheese is awfully difficult to obtain and kind of keep it running. So, every hunt counts. So far, the drops have been lousy on body parts with cookies and 10 hunts. Well, 10 hunts is a pretty short time to go. So, like I said, I'd recommend smashing some of your parts in animated snow and try to keep at least one golem going. That's my goal. As well as, there's lots of ways you can boost that as well. So the winter charms will help out a little bit. The Let It Snow charms will help out quite a bit. The Snow Golem Architect drops part every single time. I think he drops 2 every single time, if I'm not mistaken. And the pecan or the glazed as well. The glazy mouse will always drop a part as well. So that kind of results in parts coming in quicker than you can use them. Or every 25 hunts, you will get more than, on average, keep in mind, you'll get more than 3 heads, 3 torsos, and 12 limbs. Look at me trying to do 3 times 4 in my head. You can see the smoke coming out of my ear. What levels are your golems, Dave? Let me see. I am at 6, 6, and 5. And mine got out of sync because I made a miscalculation. I smashed some snow to buy some bells, and then I realized, wait a minute, by the time my golems came back, I was out of parts. And so, well, that didn't make a lot of sense. I didn't save enough to actually send out a next round of golems. The beauty of random numbers, yeah. Exactly. I mean, that's ingrained into kind of the identity of the game. That kind of, makes it so everyone's journey is a little bit different, or there's a little moment of suspense where every day or every week's a little different. The mice could drop animated snow, and then a golem could cost, a quantity of animated snow. But by having that kind of a little bit of randomness in play, it makes each day a little bit different, and it creates those highs and those lows where you're swamped with limbs but you're out of torsos, or you have lots of heads but not torsos, and then it's nice, then you're empowered to try to balance those out. Do you wait? You kind of make a choice rather than just watching the game play itself. Disappointed to see Valorif base cannot switch mode despite response elixirs not useful. Yeah, we went back to the team, kind of went back to the drawing board. Ultimately, we kind of we're comfortable sticking to the way it is, and it might come down to it's a base not meant for someone who's completely finished the Valor Rift. So often there are kind of rewards that you can't kind of appeal to everybody, and so it might be a little bit more of a utility base for a different type of hunter. For the slack in a box, is it more mouse caught, the more likely it will pop? It is a set number of... I won't spoil the surprise, actually. Wait till somebody uses it, because it's pretty darn cute. Franco put together, kind of added a little bit of whimsy to that. So I really actually like using the slack when I have the slack in a box. It was kind of fun in testing. So we'll leave that as a surprise, but hopefully you find it amusing the way that the box pops. Any more info on rare map dust drop adjustment from scrolls, asks Jonathan. Was the goal for constant rare map dust per relic, or are some scrolls better than others, maybe event scrolls, since they are time gated? No, that was the intention, and there's a sort of relationship between how many ancient relics a scroll costs and the likelihood of it containing rare map dust. So kind of, if you notice in the patch notes what happened, I think just it's gone unnoticed for several years, but I think when somebody was putting together a new scroll case, they would copy paste another scroll case, change the name of it, and then kind of go about their business, and wouldn't quite look at, well, hold on, there's a part when you copy paste that says this is the chance of rare map dust, and so that needs to be set each and every scroll case. And so we did an audit and built a little tool to load up all the scrolls in the game, look at their chance of rare map dust, and then look at relics per dust. Or you can think of it on average, how many scrolls do I need to open up before I am expected to find a rare map dust, again, on average, and then times that by the cost of the scroll and relics, and you get, well, that's how many relics per dust it is. A lot of them are around the 100 relics per dust benchmark. Some are a little bit different, kind of depending on how you obtain them or the nature of the map. Like, for instance, the lightning is not particularly good for getting rare map dust. Nor is the Grand Tour case, the Sky Pirate ones as well. They're a little bit higher, but a lot of the area-specific maps, like the Mausoleum, Tribal Isles, Digby, they're all about 100 relics per dust. And so we kind of went through, and that a lot of them were around that 100 relics per dust, but some new ones that were created, that little copy-paste data entry error was there. So we kind of corrected that, and they're all kind of where they're supposed to be now. Why is the drop rate of From Rift heirlooms and tokens from the Golems so low? Well, it's about in line with what you would expect if you spent 25 hunts in the From Rift. That's about what a Golem kind of comes back with. So it's so then when you get 2 Golems back, it's actually a little bit better than if you were to spend that time in the From Rift instead. And so that's kind of the goal with all the areas as well. Each Golem represents about 25 hunts in that area. So, again, not absolutely perfect, and there's definitely, you can get 2 good Golems in a row and then you're really starting to cook, or you might get kind of 2 not so great Golem rewards in a row and then it's a little slower. But once you get 2 or 3 Golems going, it's you're usually coming out ahead for most areas. Myra asks, is it possible to have a filter for charms in the mobile app, please? Yeah, definitely a great idea. I mean, for now there's just the search ability, but the traps do have a filter. Yeah. Jared asks, how many potato mice do you think it would take to power the windmill? Well, turning them into batteries, I suspect, but probably quite a few. Actually, it's a windmill. It doesn't really need the power, right? I guess if the wind isn't blowing and you want to turn the windmill. Can we convert snowball charms to better variants in the shop? No, but that happens while you hunt with them. And if you feel like you have way too many, you can also sell them on the marketplace. So there's already a built-in way to exchange your snowball charms. If, say, you have normal ones and you want super, sell all your snowball charms on the marketplace. However much gold you get, look at the price of super snowball charms. Divide that gold by the amount of snowball charm, or the cost of the snowball charm, and then just buy super snowball charms. And then, boom, you just exchange them using gold. Dave, if Headless Horseman exists, why can't we have Headless Snow Golem? Well, that might be I don't know if it's the most wintry, festive theme ever, but that might be a cute kind of paper doll asset for one of the Golems. Unfortunately, we didn't quite have time to add any new kind of Golem looks this year. It was on the to-do, but kind of higher. Other stuff took priority, like getting some trap skins ready, as well as the dirigible cosmetic as well. So had to kind of pick our battles a little bit. Are you ever going to look over the cost of augmentations in the Valor Rift again? Elixir Rain seems way too expensive for meaningful use. No plans, and definitely Elixir Rain is probably the one you're not going to use the most, if ever. But if you ever find yourself with just way too many supplies, it's the thing there, so you just never have too many. You can always turn them back into elixirs using Elixir Rain, but that's kind of the intention of it. It's not something that you're expected to use it. It's just there if you have a huge imbalance and you have nothing else to spend that supply on. There's something you can do it, and it's set up in a way where it just drains the resources very quickly. So you can get rid of them, put them to use, and start over, kind of start managing those resources again. One team has 12 member. Can we have 3 groups in team? Unfortunately, we don't have that capability. It is in the idea bank, but it's kind of slotted for when and if we ever have time to do a tournament overhaul, but it's not a priority. Gouda string cheese, please. That is kind of earmarked for the Froma, or not the Froma, the Tribal Isles Rift, when and if we get there. 25 hunts approximated for which Golem level? Golem level 10, actually. That's a good question. So a lot of kind of the rewards of the Golem, when we look, okay, a Golem should come back with about 25 hunts worth of loot from an area. You can almost think of it, when you send your Golem there, it's like it's hunting there for you, and it's collecting loot drops, and it comes back and goes, here, I brought stuff for you. And that's, roughly in line with a level 10 Golem. So if you have 2 level 10 Golems going out, it's almost like you've kind of unlocked double loot at that point. Again, grain of salt, it kind of depends which area you're in. Not all the areas are like that. And with, I think there's over 60 areas now, there's a whole lot of those kind of reward tables to look over. So we kind of focus on some of the more popular ones to kind of dial those in. But otherwise, if you spend a week doing 60 drop tables, that's 60 weeks of work. We couldn't even do it in time for the next Great Winter Hunt. Can we send Zombie Golem out for Halloween event? Well, I think, keep too much of a good thing could be too much, so we'll keep the golems to be in a winter hunt event. If the snow golem architect attraction rate fixed whether or not decorations are on between glazed pecan and super brie, it should be pretty much static. Off the top of my head, I don't know with super brie, come to think of it, but when you armalet its snow charm, it increases the encounter rate, or it adds the snow golem architect to the encounter pool. And it does it in such a way that no matter what cheese you're using, you still get a consistent encounter rate against that mouse. So it shouldn't matter. Super brie, I'm not sure though, but pecan and glaze should be fairly close, within a tenth of a percent or so. I think. Can you use the can you turn the effect off if you want to use the attraction bonus elsewhere? Unfortunately, no. You'll have to kind of try to manage that on your own. Yonel asks, will there be an additional Guardian Golem additional trap in the future? No plans for it. So and that was a limited edition trap. So we probably wouldn't add new skins to that limited edition trap. But who knows? If it's popular, we may revisit the theme in the future. Or quite often we get inspiration from events. It's a good way to kind of do a trial run of something. And if it's really popular and players like it, then it's a good candidate to go and make it into the game as a permanent fixture. So something that comes to mind was the hothouse base became the living base. Well, not became, but we introduced the living base. It has the same effect. The ultimate iceberg base as well. I feel like that might be a good candidate to make a non-limited edition version of that at some point. Julia says the golems are super cute. I agree. How many of you kind of play around with the look of your golem before you send it out, or kind of each year kind of pick what it's supposed to look like? I'm pretty sure it remembers what it looks like even when it comes back. Edison says this game is freaking awesome. Glad to hear it. Glad to hear you're having a good time. Darren says Tribal Isles Rift open. Yeah, no specific plans, but that's kind of as far as Gouda string cheese goes, to kind of as a nod to the original progression of the game, to kind of keep that as an upgrade you'd earn in the Tribal Isles Rift. There's not enough glass and ore in the floating island golem loot. Well, yeah, it's a little bit of a polarizing topic. Some players think it shouldn't be there. Some players want lots of it. So we kind of balance that with a lower level Oculus. So again, kind of going back to if you went and spent 25 hunts in the floating islands with a low level Oculus, that's about how much ore and glass you might be expected to find, in the ballpark. So that way it doesn't kind of remove the journey, right? Because the fun part should be the journey and the destination. So if the golems kind of remove the journey and just provide the destination, it's a little bit of a kind of wah moment when you get there and you're like, oh, I didn't get to do the fun part of this area, right? So that's why we kind of tuned it for lower level Oculus, so it kind of still representative of the effort that you'd put in there in terms of 25 hunts at a time. Owen says, Dave, it was mentioned in the notes that Bristlewood's Rift was tweaked. Can we get more information on that? I thought I went into more specifics. Maybe not. I think... Let me check the patch notes. Where am I going here? Let me see. Let's go check the patch notes. I'm going to go to mousehuntgame.com. This, I can sound my horn. CPU fan just ticks up a bit. So, I think it was, December 8th is when it launched. Oh, what did we have here? Let's just double check here. Searching for the word bristle. Removed ancient string cheese and runic string cheese as possible golem reward for Bristlewood's Rift, replacing them with Rift Super Luck Charms. So, I think that was pretty well the only change there. Let me double check. There goes the CPU fan. Oh, it loved opening a web browser. Computer loved it. Only 20% CPU. I think the cooling policy is a little... Although that said, the keyboard is warm, so... yeah, that looks to be it here. So the Super Rift Luck Charms were added, and it replaced the Ancient String Cheese and the Runic String Cheese, but not the potions. You could still find potions. But for the most part, you're going to find a Portal Scrambler in that valuable slot. You're going to find that 8 out of 10 times. And then, so that means 1 out of 5 times you're going to find either a Rift Luck Charm an Ancient String Potion or a Runic String Potion. He just says, I need to sell kidneys to afford that CTT trap Dave, please help. Well, just keep on sounding the horn and you'll get there without resorting to selling any of your vital organs. I don't recommend that at all. Deb says, love the cat. I think you're talking about the golem look. Yeah, I like the cat as well. I think there's an Iron Man one. I kind of like that one. Or I guess not Iron Man. It's a mechanical suit hero person. No copyright whatsoever. Sending golems to floating islands is broken since it can help you skip all those initial grinding floating islands. Yeah, I disagree. We tuned it for a low-level Oculus. So if you think about it, if somebody said, nuts to the winter hunt, I'm going to go to the floating islands, and I'm going to spend 4 weeks in the floating islands, they'd have a way higher level Oculus than if they spend the 4 weeks in the Great Winter Hunt. So if anything, it's actually, it's a little bit slower. Like you're going, you're not skipping the grind. You're actually having a little bit more grind, but there's a variety going to it anyway. Loving those round numbers. Yeah, that drop table was, I think it was 80, 10, 5, 5. So it neatly added up to 100. So it's very easy to check that out. I think it's 80% chance for a Portal Scrambler, 10% for the Rift Luck Charms, 5% Ancient Potion, 5% Runic Potion. So kind of all the numbers added up nicely. Well, I never knew there were patch notes. Well, there you go. Yeah, it's kind of useful. It's the type of thing, we kind of debated whether or not to send an inbox notification for patch notes. Ultimately, we thought, well, it's the type of thing is better. It doesn't need to be announced, but it's there to be checked. And as well, we wouldn't want to hesitate. Well, some days we do multiple patches in the same day, and we try our best when we even push hot fixes to kind of just full transparency, let you know, okay, this has now been fixed, or, this has been changed. And so that would sort of make us hesitate if we're going to do 2, 3 in the same day. If it's like, well, we don't want people to constantly have a, nothing's more annoying than when you just see the red dot constantly appearing on something and you kind of don't care about what that red dot is representing. I'm sure everyone's been using their phone and apps will just have a badge on it and you're like, what is this? And you're like, I don't care about that notification you just sent. Why did you do that? So, that's in the back of our minds as well. So we kept the patch notes a little more kind of to the side. You have to go find them. They don't come find you. Char says, I feel Golems falls behind on farming bland queso when sent to the queso canyon. That's another kind of tricky one as well. It might be kind of tuned for a lower level queso pump. So, there's areas where you unlock upgrades in the area, and then kind of when deciding, well, what benchmark to use, we tend to go on the lower side so that it's still sort of representative to somebody who's first showing up. And like I said, when you're going through the adventure, part of the fun is actually doing the adventure. So it's very anticlimactic if you go to do an adventure and you're just done immediately. So we try to keep the journey, because the journey should be the fun part and the destination. So some of that stuff might be kind of dialed for lower level upgrades in the respective areas. Jonathan says, Pecan Pecorino is showing up in the marketplace in the app. You cannot make buy offers. Is this a glitch? Yes, that is my fault. And actually, I'll jot that down. I meant to fix that. Tell you what, I'm gonna live code it right here. No note required at all. So yeah, that's my bad. Kind of one day as a hot fix, or I think it was the day of release, went to add all the recommended marketplace items and accidentally added pecan pecorino cheese, which is not treatable. Now fortunately the browser filters that out. It sees like, hey, the Festive Comet says that pecan pecorino should be displayed in the marketplace, but then the browser's like, but it's not tradable, so no. And that's probably to support if there's ever something that's temporarily tradable, but not that we've ever done that, I don't think. But mobile doesn't work quite the same way. Will there be other ways to get animated snow? Getting it solely from tourneys feels a bit odd. Can't think of any other ways, but other than that, no, just smash your golem parts, right? That's kind of the original intention behind it. What's the rationale between the 5 and 12 Choco cost gaps for the CCDT skin? You might need to elaborate with some more specific names for me. Patch notes are good, way better than shadow patching in some other game. Yeah, I mean, for the most part, I know I like to read patch notes in games, and in some ways it kind of helps put any worries at ease of like, hey, I'm hunting this mouse and I can't get it. Did they change something? It's like, well, no, we endeavor to make sure We announce all those little things. And it seems like it's a good way to go about it without having to kind of write a whole news post. Because that usually takes 1 to 3 hours, sometimes more, depending on what kind of post it is. But then it's easy. It's just point form list. Get somebody to kind of read it over, make sure you didn't make any silly typos, and it's pretty streamlined for the most part. Darren says, will the 2018-2020 nice naughty chest, before they're patched, are golems gone next year? Let me read that again. Will the 2018-2020 for nice naughty chest, before they are patched? I don't quite understand what you're trying to ask. Sedantha says, Stuck Snowball used to drop a variety loop. Would be cool if it dropped, to scroll up, animated snow and other stuff at higher catches. Yeah, I mean, ultimately, animated snow, right, it kind of goes back to, if the mice drop it, then what's the point of having the head, the torso, and the limb, right? Like, the golem could just be made from a quantity of animated snow, and so, that's kind of not the intention behind it. Live code equals, I'm not pushing anything live, Michelle, but that's a nice reminder, because by changing that file, and then when I go and load up source control, I'll see I changed a file, and that's better than even making a to-do, because it'll be right in my face saying, hey, you changed something. Rish asks about dark mode for MouseHunt. I agree, it would be kind of neat right now. We're not quite set up to pull it off very easily. We could maybe try it as like a beta feature, but at the moment, no plans for it. Just kind of the way it's set up in the browser would be a little tricky to do it in a kind of a polished way that we'd be happy with. That said, it wouldn't be that hard to kind of make like a beta version of it to change a few things, but there might be some readability issues kind of by when you put in a dark mode. You need to go and really look through all the interfaces and see, okay, are the contrast levels high enough throughout the game? Is there somewhere where there's black text? Because if we miss kind of black or gray text on a black or gray background, it's going to be very hard to read. So we can maybe try as a beta and even help get people to spot things that we're missing. Might help expedite things a little bit there, but again, kind of goes back to, we don't have any specific plans to work on that. Ryan, if you have too much of one part, you want to start smashing. I agree. It kind of depends. Make your decision whether you keep 2 or 3 golems going at all times, and then if you have idle golems and you're sitting on too many parts, I would at least smash some parts to get a golem going, especially at the start of the event, because the golems get more rewarding as you level them up. So you kind of want to get off to a strong start so that you can kind of get those high-level golems and start using them to bring back loot as soon as possible, because it kind of plateaus to a point where upgrading them becomes kind of not too practical anymore. So the sooner you kind of reach that plateau, then you're just in kind of gravy mode. You've got your dinner on the plate and you're just pouring on gravy. You got your burger, you're putting some cheese on the burger. Have the golems adjust according to pump Oculus level? That might be a little too involved. So, again, it's kind of, up to player choice of where they want to send them, kind of poke around, see what different rewards are, and then ultimately if you decide, well, I'd prefer not to, I don't care for that particular reward, send them somewhere else where you do. They said no to treasure maps due to ability to leech unlimited, would support having 1 or 2 from Stuck Snowball. I think I missed the context. I missed Way's original comment that Ryan's replying to. KDM says, for the new Chrome Celestial Distance skin, it sells for relatively cheap for 12 Advent chocolates in the Trapsmith, but it costs a hefty $5 in the donation page. What's the rationale behind that? Off the top of my head, I don't know. I'd have to kind of check with who set up the prices. The Advent chocolate is probably in line with the tier of trap and the title requirement it is. There's kind of a rough hierarchy there. Again, not sort of a specific formula, but it being a high-level, powerful trap is kind of why it costs more Advent chocolates. They're also tradable in the marketplace as well. So, if you're limited by how many Advent chocolates you have, you can use your gold to pick up the ones you missed if somebody else is buying duplicates, or by all means, kind of as years go by, if you start stockpiling Advent chocolates, or if you do a lot of maps, you'll have more Advent chocolates maybe than you know what to do with by the end of the event, so you can try to find a good skin to buy and sell to another interested hunter. Ryan said, Dave said in previous Feedback Friday that golems were increased, I believe. Golem part drops, yes. So the golem part drops are higher this year to kind of account for animated snow not being in the chest, and just kind of in general thought they could be a little bit higher. So especially if you're going all out, if you're using glazed Pecan Pecorino with Let It Snow charms, I think like I mentioned earlier, you get parts faster than you can use them, which kind of builds up a surplus of parts. That's kind of handy too if you find you don't have all your golems out and you're low on, let's say you have lots of limbs, lots of torsos, lots of head, and your golems are about to come back. If you have a little stash of that from the advent calendar or pick it up from the marketplace, then using that for like a day, and you'll kind of have this nice influx where, okay, that'll help mitigate some bad RNG, if you want to call it that. So if you kind of keep a few heads and torsos in reserve, it kind of might help you kind of turn on and off those power-ups when you need them. Doc says, I guess turn snow are the only way for animated snow. Great, goodbye, great winter sleep. Well, the drop rate of parts in general has increased this year. So, I don't understand maybe kind of the fascination with animated snow more than golem parts. I know it has some nice utility to it. But by all means, all the mice technically drop animated snow. You can smash any part you get, and you get animated snow. So it's worked that way from the start. Will anyone reach Aura Cap in March 2021? I don't think I would get there, but somebody will, probably. Talk says, when you're alone golem parts, you kill sleep for it. I mean, that's okay. Remember, it's a 4-week-long event. I said it is good to get a head start, or, the quicker you get your golems up to a good level, the longer you have to kind of have high-level golems. But that's a go at your own pace. There's plenty of time to get all the rewards in the event over the course of 4 weeks, I think. So, I wouldn't be too concerned about, going to sleep and you don't have your golems out there. By all means, wake up in the morning. Your trap checks will be there for you. You'll have some parts in your inventory, and then you have a nice little moment in the morning. You can sip on your coffee and send out your golems out on their loot collecting missions. Gene says, Dave, will you have an office Christmas party? If so, make it live for 30 minutes. No plans for an in-person office party this year, kind of for obvious reasons. We're not even using our office. We're working remotely right now. Mandy says, I never knew there was a cap on tournaments. What is the maximum number of teams? Yeah, that makes 2 of us. That's that I haven't kind of interacted with the tournament system for a while. What's really the chance of rib with golems? Rather low. It's like 1 in 2,500. 1 in, it's higher. It's even a lower chance, I should say, than that. I fear I'm going to mess up math trying to just do that instantly right here. So I won't try to say something specific, but it's low, basically. It's even all 3 of your golems going full tilt 25 hunts, that would be about equal if you spent that time in the geyser. So it's kind of, that's an example of one thing that's kind of not set up to be representative of 25 hunts in the area, at least specifically when it comes to the rib. But then other spots were kind of increased. So the prickly plains, we did increase. I think it's just the quantity of spice leaf. I can't remember if it was the chance of finding spice leaf and the quantity, but it was at least the quantity of spice leaf from prickly plains has been increased to be a little more in line with 25 hunts spent in the prickly plains. Fix the item menus on the app. I can't play the event. Okay, well, you could submit a bug report, but before that, make sure you've updated the app and you're running the latest version, because it's quite possible if you haven't updated, then you don't have the latest version of the interface. I need about 2,500 ore and glass to reach level 8 in the floating lands. Hope I can get there if I spend almost 4 weeks at the Festive Comet. It'll certainly help, right? And then you're earning other stuff as you go as well. Is the MouseHunt album still available? Off the top of my head, I do not know. Gia says, maybe include what is the loot in each location next year, because I really don't know where to send my golem to get more valuable loots. Yeah, there's something, at least a little bit of a hint. There's a little bit of discovery there as well to kind of see what you get, a little bit of anticipation. But, you can at least know, hey, it's going to be things from that area. I really enjoyed the flavor text around the gift now. Pass that along to Andrew. I think he added a few cute little sayings and expressions for the gift napper to say as it was being defeated. Okay, so actually here, I did have one feedback question. And it's a feedback question about Feedback Friday. So launch into that a little bit here. Now, I was thinking about kind of different formats that we do in Feedback Friday, and kind of four came to mind. And actually, I was wondering if players notice a similar sort of correlation between formats, and if there are any sort of terms, whether it's kind of terminology, slang, or names that you give those formats that we could maybe include in the title of the stream or something when we schedule it to give a bit of a heads up of what to expect. So the four that came to mind were Art Edition. That's a live painting with Jacob. He shares the final asset on his art page. And so, it'll hang out a little bit at the start, ask a few questions. There's a little opportunity as well to kind of provide a little bit of art direction and help Jacob make some creative decisions while he's putting together an asset. It's usually a longer stream, usually in the ballpark of 6 hours or so, because he usually finishes or comes close to finishing an asset. And usually it's kind of, a larger asset at least takes a day to put together. The other kind of behind the scenes, so that's usually one that I do, kind of a preview of upcoming releases or an update on our roadmap. That's typically the one that I kind of type up ahead of time, so I have a summary that I can share on the forums. As well as developer Q&A, which is kind of what we're doing right now. So there's kind of no specific itinerary, reading the chat, kind of getting questions, feedback. It's the type of thing as well. Typically, kind of, I can't do a summary because I don't know what we're going to get into until we start going. And finally, kind of feedback focus, or like Feedback Friday in its purest form. Specific questions, definitely a summary shared on the forums. I'm often compiling notes to kind of bring back and share with the team, or we're trying to make a decision. So I was wondering if those kind of four formats resonate with players, and whether you'd like to see us kind of use that terminology so you know what to expect. Yeah, FB art, or the fart. Unfortunately, the Feedback Art Edition, if you put an F in front of art, I think Jacob even says a fart every now and then in relation to streaming. BTS and Dev Q&A sound cool. Yep, Feedback Focus doesn't quite roll off the tongue for me either. So, but it is the original Feedback Friday when we have a question we're looking, or a specific topic we want feedback because we're trying to make a decision and we want to kind of know what players think. Every other typically is a live painting. Yes, Jacob and I kind of take turns so that we can kind of spread out our streaming duties. Feed Bake Friday, that's true. Forgot about Feed Bake Friday. That is we've done a few of those where we do some live cooking. Unfortunately, too, we tend to try to make a bit of a group activity as well, but I'll see, for obvious reasons, we can't get together this year. What about behind the scenes about the conceptualization of new areas like Floating Islands of Valor Rift? I think that'd be cool. That might be interesting, actually. Even kind of, I think it would fall under the umbrella of that kind of behind the scenes. Typically, we wait until at least kind of a prototype is firmed up a little bit, but maybe even kind of pulling back the curtain a little bit in the ideation phase as well. Might kind of really help firm up some original direction, kind of help us make some decisions. Michael asks, is there an easier way to manage passing parcels? No, and actually that was our main hesitation of why we didn't bring them back in previous years, is that it's kind of, I don't want to use the word hacked, but it was put together very quickly with systems that exist in the game, but it's not really kind of well polished experience. And so we always thought, well, if we want to do this, let's kind of do this right and make dedicated interfaces and a better experience. But by popular demand, a lot of players wanted to see them again. So we just kind of brought them back in their current format because that was relatively straightforward. I mean, we were able to kind of put them together over the course of an hour or two rather than kind of spending a week or two. I'd like to see a focus once a month of other hit grab people. Yeah, for sure. And that's kind of one thing we miss with the office. It's a lot easier kind of doing that in person, but kind of, every once in a while run that by as well. Is there a way to make it easier? Oh, I'm rereading the chat here. I lost my place. Stejan says, could the cap, 500 cap on tourneys be removed? Makes tourneys a lot harder. That's going to kind of become a topic of discussion, I think, as we kind of see some performance issues. So it's something we're going to have to figure out. It says, well, it's written on the whiteboard in the back. I haven't, same thing that was on there 2 weeks ago, actually. I haven't used my whiteboards too recently. I think one even has a date. Yeah, July 12th. But I think the one I was working on 5-person Sky Pirate maps, and I was working on kind of the costs that they should have there, and so sometimes I need to write on a big board for that. And the other one is, you know what? Hold on. I have a visitor at the door. I will be right back. I've returned. Sorry, I was actually somebody sent a gift my way, so they said to expect a delivery and that I needed to accept in person. So I wanted to make sure I didn't miss that doorbell. I was kind of hoping it would come after the 12 o'clock mark, but I thought, well, I'll just pop on the old be right back slide there. Maybe it's takeaway food. No, actually, I don't know what we're gonna get into for lunch this week. Another feedback question. So in the realm of feedback focus, actually, so on my to-do list is actually to add back to elite level maps the Oculus level 8 and 9 floating islands mice. So I'm trying to remember off the top of my head here. That's Admiral Cloudbeard, Richard the Rich, Maritime Pirate, and I want to say the Scarlet Revenger mouse. I want to say I'm doing that from memory, but basically the pirates and Richard, which you need a level 9 Oculus for. When we remove those from the elite maps, because kind of agreed with the feedback that was a little too soon to put them on maps. And actually, as a side note, we've kind of changed our flow there. Instead of with every release adding new maps to the Relic Hunter or new mice to the Relic Hunter maps. Instead, as part of that release, we're going to schedule a task in the future to do it. So there'll be a little bit of a amnesty period. I feel like that might be the correct term used for that, but I'm not sure. So there'll be a little bit of a period where those new mice don't appear on existing maps and kind of let people get set up in the area, get a few supplies, and get ready to strategize around those mice. But is it still too soon to add those mice? We're planning to add it with the Lunar New Year event, which will launch in February, I think. I forget the exact launch date of that. Let's check it out. So the Lunar New Year event, yep, in early February, probably the 9th would be when it will start. Is that too soon to add those mice back to maps? Not too soon. February seems great. Too soon for Richard for sure. February is good. I think it's still too soon. So a little bit of a split vote here. Elite maps are fine the way they are now. The rewards don't warrant such far recent mice, in my opinion. That was another thing as well. Should we reevaluate the elite maps? Should we make it less common that you find an elite level difficulty and then make them a little bit more rewarding as well? Yes, too soon. Most of my team are in level 6 or 7. Yeah, actually, I think I'm at level 7 myself. I did go for a stint in the Valor Rift, though, to put use to the spooky Orda use. Richard is too soon. Oculus seems okay. It might be an all or nothing thing for me, so yes to reevaluating elite map rewards less common. Okay. Maybe we can kind of go 2 birds, 1 stone mode there and not add them back in February, and that'll also give us a little more time to kind of go to the drawing board a little bit. Ooh, and I am sneezing. Little iffy on Richard. All right, so a little bit of a split vote, not a whole lot of enthusiasm, so we'll kind of use that as our grain of salt to season our decision. Yeah, Dalton says, I personally think elite maps need to have a special item or something relative to other relic hunters. They're too difficult for their rewards. Yeah, they're almost at that tier where they do need kind of a little extra something unique, or like that. Hey, that's the only way to kind of get this thing, but at the same time, it can't be kind of too crazy of a thing. So sometimes it's tricky to find just the right fit there. No, don't decrease the chance to get one. It took me 10 tries to get one. I'd say leave Richard for now. He's hiding for most hunters. Pirates are probably okay as planned, but can find snipers if needed. All right, so it might be a little bit too soon. And I kind of like that because that lets us sort of spend a little bit more time reevaluating elite maps as well. And then they'll become, those are probably the toughest mice at elite maps, so those will make them a little tougher and a little more rewarding at the same time, potentially. I see that meeting with the mystery doorbell ringer now. I think that was a coincidence that I started sneezing. I think it's a little dusty in here. Put up a tree, and it just kind of makes the room dusty when you pull out your tree out of storage and put it up and fluff all the branches, so what have you. Makes for a dusty room. It should stick out in some way instead of being more of the same. All right, so that's kind of good. We'll be able to go back to the drawing board a little bit there. Well, maybe not the drawing board, but find some more ideas. All right, well, we'll go over to the trivia, the quar. Miss Giorgio being able to chime in and call it the quar, the question answer reward, as he called it. And this week's trivia question is, it is awfully trivia. Which Great Winter Hunt mouse literally eats the competition? "48" is incorrect. Why is he skipping turn? We've already kind of gone over that, so it'll have to be something we kind of discuss in the team. But there's been a lot of questions about it. The free skiing is correct. I think Martin was the first person there. This free skiing mouse, I believe, was originally introduced as part of the ski-themed Great Winter Hunt, where you're racing down ski slopes, racing against an adversary mouse who is also going. A little power-ups to find along the way, or obstacles to overcome that could slow you down or speed you up. And I'll copy-paste this into the chat as well for easy clicking. I missed that event. I liked that event as well. It was kind of a unique event. I kind of liked it. It almost made me feel like I was playing Mario Kart a little bit, you know, whether you'd hit a banana peel or a speed boost while you're going down the hill. Oh, you're right. It was a toboggan race. Yeah, it wasn't. Although some of the mice were ski themed, right? You had the Rainbow Racer mouse. You had the Sporty Ski Instructor, which always makes me chuckle when I look at that illustration. But I think you yourself were meant to be on a toboggan, if I recall. Can't quite remember the theme of what your ski vessel was. Is there a Larry link? Yes, I'm sure. Yep, I just pasted it into the chat as well, so you'll be able to see it there. The Nitro Xmas event where you fought on Santa's sleigh and over the houses was amazing too. Yeah, I kind of liked the endorphin overload of when you activated, I think called it joy mode, and your ski or your sleigh went up into the air and it just got all kind of sparkly, and you rained down gifts of upon the neighborhoods. KDM asked, were the toboggan codes thrown away? Any chance to bring them back? Technically, we do kind of keep each year's event sort of encapsulated in its own little area. That said, to kind of reactivate it is far from flipping a switch. So there's a lot of, maybe one day for fun we could throw it up in kind of a test environment, knowing like, hey, it's not really going to work perfectly, but it'll kind of work a little bit. But to actually kind of bring it back into the game, if we're not going to do the Golems again, then if there was a popular event in years past, we do kind of have all that as reference. But even, for example, the Golems, I think it was right at the end of September, we got started restoring the Golems. So, not the whole team working on it full time or anything like that, but kind of getting the ball rolling. There's kind of a lot of work just to kind of repeating an event requires some dev and definitely some art as well, coming up with the new rewards, implementing all that. Enjoy the Nutcracker Winter event. Having to tour all the areas to collect proper parts was interesting and flashy, especially for new player. I'm trying to remember that one. Was that the toy one with the big toy factory? I don't know if that was the year where Calamity Carl chose to build a toy factory before the Winter Hunt started and chose the landing place of the Festive Comet. I kind of liked that. Like, it wasn't a very good choice of construction site. Don't see the link yet, just to let you know. Here, I'll paste it in again. There it is a second time in the chat. If I wait a second, I think I can even see it. Whoa, no. Camera's reversed. Right, there we go. And I already forget what it is. I'm going to guess Winter Charms if I had to take a guess. The Mad Elf event. That stands out of my mind as well. Also, I think that was a year that we had a little kind of team getaway. And I think we launched that kind of remotely all as a team. It was kind of fun. We had a festive feta that year. It was my first event. Sedandra asks, is the one Shuffler's Cube from a Zokor hat golem intentional? Let me double check what's in the old Zokor. Zokor, which in the code is called the Ancient City. / Ancient City, yes. So let me see. You got the Scrambler. Yeah, that looks. But, you know, fair enough. That's not the most exciting thing to get. Looks like these, yeah, you're less likely to get it from a hat than you are in the exceptional slot, though. I don't know what those numbers add up to. These aren't quite nice and even ones, but yeah. But, you know, fair enough. That is not the most exciting reward to find for a hat. Any plans on introducing any superior animal bases once all 12 Zodiac animals are complete? Anything crazy like a special base for all 12 sets are complete? Yeah, we'll see. Like unfortunately, they're limited edition. So I don't know. When we complete the set, we'll kind of give that some thought. But that could serve some creative inspiration for sure. You could catch the Mad Elf only with one trap. Maybe that was, the Nutcracker trap. I remember had a effect in Balak's Cove, I think. I think it boosted the drops of the Pinch of Annoyance, Bottled Up Rage, and Raisins of Wrath. There we go. My trivial knowledge of an area I have not hunted in years is still intact. All right, well, we should start wrapping things up here as I approach the 12 o'clock mark. Hour is usually my cutoff here. I don't know what do I plan for the day. I think I have a few meetings here, kind of some end of the year meetings. Yep. I have a couple of those. One at 2 o'clock, so I should definitely have lunch before 1. I said I have no idea what I'm going to have for lunch. That's part of the challenge of working from home here. I don't, you know, when we're in the office, that would frequently, you know, I just bring the same thing for lunch every day. But for some reason, when you're at home, you don't want to just, you know, you don't want to pack to lunch. I don't know what it is. And then, you know, usually on Friday, we'd go out and get our lunch. But then there was always the discussion, you know, around noon, it's like, where are you going? What are you getting? I don't know. What are you getting? No. Hey, what are you getting? It's like the burden of decision for food was just too much, and you're just looking for someone to make a suggestion that you liked. Does the normal pace consider jewels from pirate maps? Good question. I don't believe it does, because maps are a little bit of a wild card. Let me see here. This one is pretty well set up. So the jewel is actually, you know, in the hat slot, kind of relatively high, but you're a little bit limited, whereas the exceptional slot, you kind of keep stacking those up, so it's lower in the exceptional slot. It's at about, in the exceptional slot, about half speed with 2 level 10 golems compared to spending the time in the floating islands itself. That said, there's troves as well, so that kind of helps narrow the gap a little bit closer to being equivalent. I mean, if you were to spend those 4 weeks in the floating islands and exchange all your high-level altitude loot, you'd probably end up with a few more jewels, but you never know. Floating islands. What number is that? That's so here's, oh, look at that. The sheet was already open to the benchmark of jewels. That must have been, because looking that up for the golems. Let me see. It takes into account collecting ore and glass, collecting the high-altitude loot, collecting cash chests, doing 4 light and 1 heavy. Takes into account hunting Richard as well, so it actually takes into account having a level 9 Oculus and mixing in a couple keys every now and then. What's this here? Retreating at 100% using fuel adds up to 0.34. And Richard's kind of juicy for jewels. What was that? That's 12 out of 34. Yeah, Richard accounts for a third of your jewels when you get a level 9 Oculus going, not including maps. So, actually, that's kind of tuned for a higher level Oculus, the jewels, I would say. It's not tuned for a lower level, whereas the glass in the ore is tuned for a lower level Oculus. Compile a list of lunch menus and do a random. There was an app for that. What was it called? I can't believe it. The words "there's an app for that" just naturally left my mouth, but there we go. Urban Spoon, I think it was called. It was kind of neat. It would use geolocation to load up all restaurants, and then you would, just as a gimmick, you would shake your phone, use the accelerometer, because that was still new at the time, smartphones were new, and then it would roll, and it'd be like, ring, and a very little sound it made, it would suggest, and, probably 9 times out of 10, you're like, I don't want to eat there. I don't know if that's even still around or not. Maybe they kind of pivoted into be more like a Yelp thing. And Nid is joining us here to let us know spinning up more servers to manage load, but the sheer popularity of the tournaments is overwhelming that system. It's one of the oldest in the game. Yeah, it's long due for an overhaul. Urban Spoon, Nid, yeah. Do you remember Easterbrooks 2, the sequel? That is Giorgio, for those of you not in the know. I remember using it back in the old Oakville office. I also remember not listening to it and spinning again until, yeah. It's like, I want Thai food. I'm going to use this app and just spin it till it says to have Thai food. But then you don't feel guilty about the decision, right? You're like, well, I got to go. That's what I came up in the app. So, Easterbrooks 2, yeah. That was disappointing. Not to get into live Yelp reviews of fast food. Where is coffee? Yeah, actually, I'm out. I didn't bring down the pot today. Actually, when I went up to get a second cup, it was almost all gone, so I only had a half cup. So, I'm gonna start making more coffee. Yeah, but for sure, we're going to have to kind of, because obviously it's a new issue, so we're going to have to kind of look over that. So I don't have any answers in terms of the tournament of what we could do there. Yeah, it's a little bit of a tough spot as well because you get animated snow there, so kind of even the schedule kind of takes that into account in the terms of a 25 hunt cycle for a golem and participant level for a tournament, kind of helping you keep a golem going. You will definitely know what you want when the coin is in the air. That actually is an old trick. If somebody can't decide between two things, you're like, all right, listen, I'm going to flip a coin. Heads, it's this, tails, it's that. And you flip the coin, and when it lands, you go like, what do you want right now? And like in that moment, they catch themselves hoping for heads or tails. So. Yeah, Giorgio said, yeah, if you flip a coin, you're disappointed, then you know what you truly wanted in your heart. But what if you're still disappointed, Giorgio? What if you're still disappointed? The burden of decision is definitely a thing. If even you go, hey, do you want to go out for dinner? Where do you want to go? I was like, I don't care. You can pick wherever. Okay, how about here? Oh, not there. That's not good at all. I was like, oh, well, you just said wherever. What's going on here? I was like trying to pick something, and this is more relevant than ever with everybody staying at home. Trying to find something on stream to watch a show or a movie. I'll kind of liken it to back in the day going to Blockbuster and spending like 60 minutes trying to agree and pick out a movie, and just the burden of decision is too much. And yet when you're just watching TV like on old school cable and there's like a movie's on, even with commercials, you're like, yeah, I'll watch that because it made the decision for you. I don't know. Brains are weird. Cost benefit analysis. Yeah, do some in-depth analysis. Anyway, we have ventured far beyond the topic of MouseHunt, so that might be a cue to start wrapping things up. And it is 10 after 12 as well. So thank you so much for joining me, hunters. Thanks for the feedback, the comments, the questions on the Great Winter Hunt. Thank you for your insight as well on a little Feedback Friday formatting. It's kind of neat to see a couple nods there as well. That's a little bit of food for thought. We're trying to think maybe in the new year, what can we do with Feedback Friday? We did a Feedback Friday as well, a feedback on Feedback Friday earlier in the year. So kind of compiling those notes a little bit to keep on iterating and changing things a little bit as we go. Yeah, and Giorgio, yeah, That joke is an old one. Do you want to watch a new release, an old favorite, maybe a genre? How about a comedy? Ooh, comedy. Drifting off topic is the best part of Feedback Friday. All right, well, I'm glad you feel that way because we're drifting right again. Just turn the wheel and drift. Hey, Dave. Thanks, Dave. Enjoy your holidays. Actually, that's a good note as well. So I think next Friday, I will pop on quick to say hello and do another kind of quick dev Q&A, and then we'll kind of wrap things up. And then the next Friday, so the one is Christmas Day, so I think we're not going to do a stream that day. And then the following Friday is New Year's Day, so kind of falls exactly on the days of the holidays. So I think we're going to probably take a 2-week break from Feedback Friday after that, but we'll pop on, we'll say hello. Either Jacob or I will do something brief on next Friday because I think we have a little company meeting, town hall kind of thing in the afternoon. So we'll say hi next Friday, take a 2-week break, and then we'll see you in 2021. I think that's the tentative plan. Tokyo Drift. 14 years ago, time is passing. And so is time passing on the stream. So thanks again for joining me, hunters. Happy holiday hunting. Enjoy the rest of the great winter hunt. And Jacob and I one of us will see you next week.
1, 2.
You're a trap, don't seem to mind it. You attract me, I'm a mouse, you're a cat. I don't seem to mind it. Soft and furry, oh, and just when I think I'm safe, snap. Turns out I'm never safe, snap. Just when you think you're safe, snap. I come back. You don't seem to mind it, but I'm a fool. Broke my back. You don't seem to mind it, 'cause you're so cool. And just when I think I'm safe, snap. Turns out I'm never safe, snap. Ooh. And just when you think you're safe, snap. Turns out